Before we crack open tonight's cursed can of content, I just want to say a big thank you to all our subscribers, and an extra sinister shout out to the loyal members of the Sinister Elite. You legends help keep the darkness alive. If you're enjoying the stories and want to take it a step further, hit that like button, make sure you're subscribed, and consider joining the Sinister Elite by clicking that join button below. Members get access to creepy custom emojis and exclusive Sinister Elite badges that level up the longer you survive with us. It's like loyalty, but spookier. All right, lights off, headphones in, and let's summon something we'll all regret. There's something about a road trip that hits different when you've got a fat sack of Colorado's finest and 3 equally dumb best friends in the car. We weren't on some polished family vacation. We were 4 stoners crammed into Johnny's beat-up Toyota Camry, blazing out the windows on our way to a reggae concert at Red Rocks. The lineup didn't even matter. We just wanted to vibe, burn, and pretend like life wasn't a mess for once. Johnny was behind the wheel. He always drove because, in his words, I'm the only one who can hotbox a car and still parallel park. He had one hand on the wheel and the other holding a blunt the size of a baby carrot, bobbing his head to some Marley blasting through busted speakers. In the back seat was Daryl, who had already managed to spill half a bag of Doritos down his hoodie. He kept licking the orange dust off his fingers like he was auditioning for some weird Food Network show. Beside him was Kyle, who'd brought a disposable vape pen that he swore tasted like blue raspberry kush. He puffed it like it was keeping him alive. And then there was me, shotgun, trying not to cough up a lung after Johnny passed me the blunt. Bro, Daryl mumbled through a mouthful of chips. You think Red Rocks got good munchies food? Like pizza pockets but organic? Johnny snorted. It's a concert, not Whole Foods. We cracked up like it was the funniest thing ever. That was the vibe. Dumb jokes, smoke clouds, and hollering at every girl we saw at gas stations along the way. 90% ignored us. The other 10 looked horrified. By the time we crossed into bum nowhere Colorado, the sun was setting. The highway stretched out forever, and our GPS kept buffering like it was too high to function. We were hungry, lost, and running low on both gas and brain cells. That's when the neon sign appeared. It flickered red and blue in the distance, buzzing faint against the darkening sky. A little roadside diner, the kind you only see in old movies or nightmares. The parking lot had one beat-up pickup and a rusty Buick sitting under a flickering lamp. Kyle perked up. Yo, food! I'm starving. I'd kill for pancakes right now. Johnny turned into the lot. Looks sketchy as hell, but hey, better than starving to death. We piled out, stinking like weed and sweat, and made our way inside. The diner smelled like burnt coffee and grease, but to us, it was paradise. Vinyl booths lined the walls, a jukebox sat in the corner, and a waitress with hair as tall as a beehive greeted us with a smile that felt off. Too wide. Too sharp. Take a seat, boys, she said. We'll take good care of you. We slid into a booth, still laughing and arguing over what to order. The menus looked like they hadn't been cleaned since the 70s, smudged with fingerprints and grease stains. Didn't matter. We were too high to care. Burgers, fries, shakes. Heaven. Daryl excused himself to hit the restroom, muttering something about breaking the seal. That was the last moment everything felt normal. Daryl shuffled off to the bathroom like it was some heroic mission. The rest of us lounged in the booth, debating whether fries or onion rings were superior fuel for a reggae concert. Spoiler, fries won by knockout. The jukebox in the corner crackled to life without anyone touching it. An old country song spilled out, twangy and scratchy like a ghost was singing through the speakers. Johnny raised an eyebrow but didn't say anything. Our waitress came back with water and glasses that looked older than all of us combined. She leaned down close enough for me to smell her perfume, some kind of powdery floral scent that reminded me of funerals. You boys just passing through? She asked. Yeah, Johnny said, grinning like a fool. Heading to Red Rocks. Her smile flickered like she was holding back a laugh. Red rocks, huh? Well, you'll need your strength. Don't you worry. We'll feed you right. She floated away to the kitchen, and I swear her feet barely made a sound. Meanwhile, Daryl hadn't come back yet. A few minutes passed. Johnny tapped the table. Yo, think he fell in? Should we send a search party? Bro, he probably found one of those bathroom vending machines. Kyle joked. Gonna come back with a fake gold chain and a headache. We laughed, but then Daryl finally returned, looking pale and holding something in his hand. Yo, guys, he said, dropping into the booth. You need to see this. He unfolded a wrinkled piece of paper he'd ripped off the bathroom wall. The thing looked ancient, yellowed and curling at the edges, like it had been hanging there forever. The words were written in faded red ink that looked suspiciously like dried blood. At the top, it read, Rules for dining at Hollow Hollow Diner. Do not enter after sunset unless invited. Do not use the restroom mirror. Do not ask for substitutions. Do not waste food. Finish every bite. If the jukebox plays by itself, do not acknowledge the song. If the staff stops smiling, do not look them in the eyes. When the lights flicker, remain completely still. Never, under any circumstance, try to leave before the check is paid. At the bottom, in bold, failure to follow the rules will result in permanent residency. We all stared at it. Then Kyle started laughing so hard he nearly choked on his vape. Bro! This is gold! They got rules at this diner. What is this? Some kind of haunted Applebee's? Johnny snatched it, scanning it with a smirk. Permanent residency? Man, sounds like prison food. I tried to laugh, but something about the way Daryl's hands shook made me uneasy. He wasn't the type to get spooked. I don't know, man, he muttered. It was just taped up on the bathroom wall like someone wanted me to see it. Relax, Johnny said. It's probably just some dumb prank. Small-town humor, you know? Ooh, spooky diner rules. We brushed it off, cracking jokes about finishing every bite, like it was a threat from our moms. But while we laughed, the jukebox in the corner sputtered again. The same old country tune began playing, louder this time. Daryl froze. His eyes darted to the rule list. Rule number 5. If the jukebox plays by itself, do not acknowledge the song. Kyle, of course, leaned back and shouted, Dang, this song slaps! Who picked this? The moment he said it, the lights above us flickered once, and the waitress, who had been smiling since the second we walked in, stopped. Her face went completely blank. The silence hit harder than the weed. 1 second the waitress was all smiles, the next her face went cold, like someone had just yanked the plug on her humanity. Johnny noticed it too. Guys? He muttered, eyes darting between the waitress and the flickering light overhead. Daryl slid the rules across the table, his voice shaking. Rule number 6. If the staff stops smiling, do not look them in the eyes. Naturally, what did Kyle do? He leaned forward, grinning, and locked eyes with her like a moron. What's wrong, sweetheart? You forget how to smile? Her pupils dilated. Then her jaw unhinged with a wet crack. Her mouth stretched far wider than it should have, like her skin was just a costume. I felt my stomach drop. Dude, stop looking at her, I hissed. Kyle blinked, confused, then glanced back at the list. Oh, shit. Too late. The jukebox screeched mid-song, the needle scraping across the record like nails on a chalkboard. The diner windows slammed shut with a clang, metal bars shooting down from the ceiling like we'd just triggered a bank vault lockdown. The front door groaned as steel shutters sealed it shut. We were trapped. The other staff shuffled out from the kitchen, 2 more waitresses and a cook in a greasy apron. Their smiles vanished one by one, their eyes going black like oil pooling in sockets. The cook's arm bent backwards with a horrible pop as he grabbed a cleaver from the counter. Johnny shot to his feet. Nope! Nope, nope, nope! He bolted to the door, but when he pulled the handle, it didn't budge. Rule number 8, Daryl yelled. Never leave before the check is paid. Johnny spun around, face pale. What kind of psycho monopoly is this place playing? The lights flickered again. We all froze instinctively, except Kyle. Because of course. He waved his arms. Dudes, it's just bad wiring, chill. The staff moved when the lights came back, closer this time, circling us. Their skin rippled like something underneath was trying to crawl out. Daryl hissed through his teeth. Bro, I told you. We're screwed. Kyle broke the rules. He looked her in the eyes. Kyle tried to laugh it off, but sweat poured down his forehead. Man, I was just joking around. How was I supposed to know this was real? The waitress closest to him tilted her head, bones cracking audibly. She lunged, her jaw snapping open like a bear trap. Kyle screamed and shoved her back with the menu, which she shredded in seconds. That was it. Panic mode. Chairs screeched as we jumped up. Johnny grabbed a ketchup bottle like it was a weapon. Daryl armed himself with a salt shaker. I snatched up a fork because, hey, better than nothing. The cook slammed his cleaver into the table, splitting it in half. Sparks rained from the flickering light above. Guys! I shouted. We're way too high for this! Daryl's eyes were wild. We fight or we die, man! And just like that, the hollow diner turned into a battlefield. The first swing came from Johnny. He whipped that ketchup bottle like it was a Molotov. It smashed against the waitress's head, exploding red across her face. For one glorious second, we thought it worked. Then her tongue, longer than it should have been, slithered out, licking the ketchup clean like it was gourmet. Oh, hell no, Johnny screamed. The cook raised his cleaver and swung at Kyle. Kyle ducked, screaming, and the blade buried itself in the booth where his head had been. He crawled under the table like Scooby-Doo in a bad rerun. Daryl, meanwhile, launched the salt shaker like a grenade. It shattered on the cook's arm, sizzling on his skin. He shrieked and staggered back, smoke curling from the wound. Holy crap! Daryl yelled. Salt works! Just like snails. I didn't have time to process that before another waitress lunged at me. I stabbed at her with my fork, and to my surprise, it sank deep into her cheek. Black sludge oozed out, sizzling as it hit the floor. She shrieked, eyes rolling back. Bro! Johnny shouted. Keep stabbing! I'm trying! I yelled back, jamming the fork again like I was tenderizing steak. Kyle crawled out from under the table, holding a chair over his head, like a lion tamer. He was half crying, half laughing. Back! Back! Demon waitress! I'm armed! He swung the chair, and for once, luck was on his side. It cracked against her ribs, knocking her into the jukebox. The jukebox wailed to life, spitting out another song. Daryl froze, eyes wide. The rules! Don't acknowledge it. Johnny, mid-swing with a pepper shaker, yelled, Acknowledge what? And boom, the lights flickered again. We all froze, even the monsters. For a second, everything was still. I could hear my own breathing, ragged and heavy. Then the lights came back, and the staff had moved closer, unnaturally fast, their faces inches from ours. One of them grabbed Johnny by the shirt and lifted him clean off the ground like he weighed nothing. Johnny's legs kicked wildly. Put me down, you ugly IHOP demon. He smashed the pepper shaker into her head, coating the air in sneezes and black smoke. Daryl leapt onto the counter like he was in an action movie, grabbing fistfuls of napkins and hurling them like ninja stars. They did absolutely nothing. The cook yanked his cleaver free, snarling, and lunged again. This time Kyle panicked, grabbed a bottle of hot sauce, and sprayed it into the cook's eyes like mace. The monster shrieked, clawing at his face as steam rose from his sockets. Hot sauce OP! Kyle screamed. Clip it for the highlight reel. We were a mess, screaming, swinging, slipping on ketchup and sludge. But somehow, against all logic, we were holding them off. That is, until the head waitress slammed her hands on the floor. The tiles cracked, spiderwebbing out as her jaw stretched open wider than any human jaw should. A guttural roar filled the diner, rattling every glass, every plate. The neon sign outside flickered violently, casting the whole room in red and blue pulses. Daryl's voice cracked. Dude, this is it. We're screwed. We're gonna die in a freaking Denny's knockoff. "No, we're not," Johnny roared, wrestling free. "If we're going out swinging." And then, like the gods of stoner chaos had our backs, the fire alarm kicked on. Sprinklers erupted overhead, raining down water. The staff screamed in unison, their flesh steaming where the drops hit. Black goo splattered onto the floor like tar. Daryl blinked. "Wait, water hurts them too?" I grinned, soaked and half-crazed. "Guess it's time for a car wash, bitches." The four of us charged, slipping, swinging, splashing water with every step. For a moment, it felt like maybe, just maybe, we could win. But then the head waitress straightened, her jaw snapping shut. Her smile returned, too wide, too sharp, and she whispered, clear as day, "You boys broke the rules." The lights cut out. Pitch black. Couldn't see my own hand in front of my face. The only sound was dripping water and the low hiss of something moving across the tiles. Then the emergency lights flicked on, red strobes pulsing like a rave from hell. And there she was. The head waitress stood in the center of the diner, her body twitching in jagged jerks like a puppet yanked on rotten strings. Her smile stretched wider than her face, teeth gleaming like broken glass. Her shadow stretched on the wall behind her, but it didn't match. It crawled on its own, spreading across the booths and creeping up the ceiling. Kyle whimpered. "Bro, I don't think hot sauce is gonna cut it this time." The cook slammed his cleaver into the counter again, sparks flying. The other waitresses hissed, their limbs bending backward like spiders. They were closing in. Johnny was panting, soaked, his shirt torn. "We need a plan. Anybody got a plan?" "Yeah," Daryl snapped, holding the soggy rules sheet. "Step 1, don't break the rules. Step 2, oh wait, we already screwed that up." The head waitress moved, faster than anything human. 1 second she was across the room, the next she was right in front of me, her face inches from mine. Her breath smelled like burnt coffee and rot. "You should have finished your food," she whispered, pointing to the half-eaten fries on the table. The booth rattled. Plates shattered. The fries wriggled like maggots, oozing black sludge. I gagged. "Nope, nope, nope, nope." She lunged. I ducked instinctively and she slammed into the booth, splintering wood. Daryl leapt onto her back, screaming like a maniac, stabbing at her with a broken fork. Black ichor sprayed across the floor. Johnny and Kyle grabbed salt shakers from abandoned tables and started hurling them like grenades. Each one cracked open, sizzling holes into the monster's skin. She shrieked, flailing, throwing Daryl off her back like a rag doll. He crashed into the jukebox, which sparked and started playing Ring of Fire at full blast. Johnny froze. "Rule 5, don't acknowledge it." "Too late," Daryl groaned, spitting blood. The lights flickered again. This time, when they came back, the cook was gone. Just gone. His cleaver sat embedded in the floor, dripping goo. Then a hand shot out from under the tiles, clawing its way up. The cook was dragging himself through the floorboards like the building itself was birthing him. "Nope!" Kyle screamed, grabbing the cleaver and swinging wildly. He hacked through the hand, black sludge spraying like a busted oil pipe. The tiles sealed shut with a crack. The head waitress roared, snapping her jaw open wider. Her tongue shot out like a whip, coiling around Johnny's leg. She yanked, dragging him across the floor. "Get it off me!" Johnny shrieked, clawing at the tiles. I grabbed a chair, lifted it over my head, and slammed it down on her tongue. It cracked, spraying goo. She recoiled with a howl, releasing Johnny. We stumbled back into the center of the diner, panting, weapons shaking in our hands. Daryl's voice broke. "We can't win this. We're too high for this, man. We're dead." But then Johnny looked up at the ceiling vent. The grate rattled slightly, loose. His eyes widened. "Wait! There's a way out!" We followed his gaze. It was barely big enough for one of us, but it was something. "You're not serious," Kyle said. "You're not actually serious." Johnny's jaw clenched. "I am. I'm getting in that vent. I'll find the car. You guys hold them off until I ram that thing through the wall." The waitress shrieked, her shadow crawling closer. Daryl's voice cracked again. "Bro, You better drive like your life depends on it, because it does. Johnny nodded, grabbed the counter and pulled himself into the vent. The metal groaned under his weight. The second he vanished inside, the head waitress screeched and the lights went out again. The vent clanged above us as Johnny scrambled through it, his sneakers squealing against the metal. Below, the diner had turned into pure hell. The waitresses hissed in stereo, their shadows twisting along the walls like tarantulas. The cook's body was reassembling itself from the sludge we'd spilled, bones cracking into place as he lurched upright. And the head waitress, she just stood there smiling again. That smile said one thing: you're not leaving alive. Kyle clutched the stolen cleaver, eyes wide, sweat pouring down his face. We're dead, man. This is it. End of the road. Shut up, Daryl barked, gripping a broken fork in each fist like twin daggers. We just have to buy Johnny some time. Easy to say, hard to do. The staff lunged, chairs flew, plates shattered. I grabbed a boiling coffee pot and hurled it, scalding liquid splashing across one waitress's face. She shrieked, clawing at the burns. Kyle swung the cleaver like a man possessed, hacking through another waitress's arm. It fell to the floor, wriggling like a dying snake before dissolving into goo. Daryl jumped onto the counter again, screaming battle cries that sounded more like coughing fits, stabbing down at the cook with his bent forks. The head waitress advanced, slow and steady, her eyes locked on me. Her jaw opened, wider, wider, until it nearly split her head in two. Rows of teeth lined her throat like a shark's. My back hit the wall. Nowhere to go. That's when it happened. A roar of an engine outside, tires screeching, headlights cutting through the blinds. Then, crash. The front of the diner exploded inward as Johnny's Camry plowed straight through the door. Bricks shattered, tables splintered, neon sparks showered the room. The car slammed into the head waitress, pinning her against the wall with a sickening crunch. Black guts sprayed across the counter like a busted fire hydrant. Johnny hung halfway out the driver's window, wild-eyed, hair plastered to his face with sweat. Get in the car! No hesitation. We bolted. Daryl dove over the hood. Kyle jumped through the shattered window and I yanked the passenger door open so hard it nearly came off the hinge. The monsters shrieked behind us, clawing toward the wreck. The cook swung his half-rebuilt body at the car, but Johnny floored it, tires squealing on the tile. The Camry fishtailed through the diner, crushing booths and scattering the staff like bowling pins. We burst through the opposite wall in a rain of plaster and neon glass, flying into the parking lot. The diner collapsed behind us, flames licking up its sides, the neon sign sputtering before going dark for good. None of us spoke for miles, just the sound of the wind through the broken windshield and Johnny's heavy breathing. Finally, Daryl spoke, voice shaking. We're never talking about this again. Agreed, I muttered. Kyle, still clutching the cleaver in his lap, chuckled weakly. Yo, do you think Red Rock still has pizza pockets? We all burst out laughing. Hysterical, high, half-traumatized laughter that carried us all the way down the dark highway. Because what else do you do when you just survived Hollow Hollow Diner?